From a leaky roof
I will solve all the problems of this club, even
to a leaky defense.
And already the away side have struck.
From hiring a charismatic manager who was eager to start,
I felt that this is my place.
to him losing the desire to live after each match.
Got to dig deep for some words.
You look like you're beaming and you're sort of so happy to be here.
Manchester United are a story on their own. Cheering their own player to be subbed out,
I actually feel sorry for him, I really do.
goalies not being able to save a Word document, Radcliffe cutting donations to charities. What is going on at Manchester United?
It's a little bit embarrassing to be a Manchester United coach and to lose a lot of games.
I would like to personally thank United for reminding the footballing community what the term Olympico is. Had they not conceded 2 goals directly from a corner in the same week with 2 different goalies, we would not have remembered that there is a term for that kind of goal.
One set pieces make us more nervous, all the stadium. I felt it.
Now every single match, the opposition, they're turning into the F2 freestylers, trying to score trick shots. This isn't Call of Duty, guys. What's concerning about United is they somehow keep getting worse.
So what we thought maybe were the worst moments in the last 7 or 8 years, they're gradually getting, we've actually not hit the low point yet.
Every time you think they've hit rock bottom, these guys dig a little deeper. I think some people definitely expected at least a little bit of a new manager bounce, and it looked like maybe they're getting it after their win against City. But nope, every week is a new low point. It's gone so bad that each manager looks better than the one before. United thought they were in a bad spot with Mourinho, but a second place finish, a European title, Goldbridge would sell his left nut for that. Then under Ole, it seemed like things couldn't get worse, but then you look back, they won some big games in the Champions League, played some nice football, finished on the top half of the table. What's funny is that I think in time, even Ten Hag's tenure will be looked at fondly. People will be like, damn, this guy won the Carabao Cup, beat City to the FA Cup. Ten Hag might have actually been right. Eras do come to an end. His FA Cup win over City might have literally drained all the footballing abilities that Pep had in his brain because he hasn't been the same since that finals loss. Well, after so many different types of losses under Ten Hag, it seemed like surely the team can't get worse. Well, now United are stuck in the lower half of the table. I gotta hit see more and keep scrolling to see them on the table. The only place below them is relegation.
I'm really worried actually. I think it's worrying where Manchester United are currently at.
Now, let me paint you a funny scenario. What happens if Ruud van Nistelrooy finishes higher with Leicester than United do with Amorim? Now, of course, in no way can you blame Ruben Amorim. Although I think we can criticize him a little bit. I mean, playing a duo of Eriksen and Casemiro against Joe Linton, Bruno Guimaraes and Tonali, I mean, these guys were getting passed around like baby oil at a Diddy party. But realistically, you can't blame Amorim. He came in mid-season during the most busy period of the season. He has barely had any training sessions to implement his style. Every session, from what he has said, is just preparing for the next match.
But he did stress in the comments after the game that he's had 4 full training sessions with the team in 6 weeks.
You gotta also consider that he's bringing in a brand new system. United had never played 3 at the back consistently before in the history of the club, so he's gonna need more time than your average manager.
I have to sell my idea. I don't have another one.
He needs the time to get his message across to the players. And it's tough because it's not just the fact that the players don't fit the profiles of what he wants, 2 players, 3 back system. It's the fact that the players suck. Because when players can't run, they can't press, they can't make a 5-yard pass, then you can't blame the manager. Now, maybe it's a bit harsh for me sitting on my ass in the computer saying that United players suck, but I'm just saying you can't really blame Amorim for individual errors causing goals. I mean, some of the mistakes these guys are making, they're not even under any real pressure. Although, to be honest, the team has looked more solid defensively from open play, but corners and free kicks against United, they're like penalties. But what I like about Amorim is you can see the type of football he wants to play, what passages of plays he wants to see. At least he's playing Ahmad. That kid is a wonderful player and Ten Hag had him riding the bench. I think what Amorim needs is time to implement his style because I think some of the players at the club he can still make work in the short term, and then of course they need to spend to bring in players that actually suit how he wants to play. He also can't go back to the old system because that would disrupt the entire progress. Sure, they would maybe get some better results in the short term, but that's not what he was brought in to do.
For it flips me back to Rangnick. Ralph Rangnick said this needs open heart surgery, not a quick fix.
The real people to blame is INEOS. Why did they not just sack Ten Hag after the FA Cup? I know he won a title, but anybody could tell you that the future did not look bright with Ten Hag in charge. If you fire him then, you can bring in a new manager in the summer. He has a preseason. You still have time in the transfer window to bring in the guys that he wants. So that was the first mistake. Then when they sacked him, why not keep Van Nistelrooy in charge for the time being instead of spending a truckload of money to pay the release clause of a manager to bring him in mid-season? Like, I just don't get it. That's such a common practice among Premier League clubs that when the manager gets sacked mid-season, a lot of times the assistant coach can carry out the rest of the season, even though most people know he's not necessarily going to be the long-term option. I mean, hell, Chelsea did that with Andre Villas-Boas and Di Matteo, and they won a Champions League doing it. Now, I'm not saying Van Nistelrooy would have gotten better results, but number one, I don't think he would have gotten worse results. But number two, based on some of the actions and crazy things that Radcliffe has done to cut back on costs, why would you not do this? This way you wouldn't have had to pay a release clause midway through the season. Because reports indicated that Ruben Amorim did ask to join in the summer, but INEOS was basically like, nah buddy, the United train only comes once.
There was a club that said that if I rejected it now in 6 months, I wouldn't get it. And I knew that in 6 months I would leave Sporting. So I did not want to regret not making this decision.
And listen, despite their garbage form across the last decade, Manchester United is still a gargantuan club. No manager is going to say no to the opportunity. And you got to keep in mind that when you're a manager at this level, you have a lot of self-confidence, ego if you want to call it. So if you're Ruben Amorim, you want to be the guy that rejuvenates Manchester United. You want to be known as the guy that made this fantastic club go from ruins back to the top.
The moment of this club, I think, is perfect for me. I think I can feel it.
But here's a bigger issue. I'm not even sure if more spending will fix what's going on. Like, at one point, United had Sancho, Pogba, Ronaldo, Varane. Then they spent another couple of hundreds of millions of dollars, and now their team is worse. Everyone knows now that United has become a graveyard for careers. Because look at Xerxes. He was perfectly fine at Bologna. Poor guy got scapegoated and blamed as if all the United issues are his fault, but he really isn't a bad player. United just misprofiled him when recruiting. In Italy, it was obvious that he is a system-dependent player because he isn't a natural number 9. He's like a false 9 that is at his best with runners around him. So unless you know that you want to play that system or you have a plan for exactly where to use Xerxes, why would you get him? Everybody in Italy could have told you that he's not a natural goal scorer. Because I promise you, if this guy went on loan to Juventus, reunited with Motta, he will look good again. That's just the story with all United players. As soon as they leave the club, they become better. These guys had a 26-year-old Di Maria off the back of an incredible Champions League campaign, and United was probably the lowest point of Di Maria's career. De Gea was sold because he wasn't good with his feet, and now he's killing it at Fiorentina. His replacement, meanwhile, consistently makes mistakes, playing out of the back. Yes, I know that Onana has bailed out United at times with his shot stopping, but shot stopping was never an issue when De Gea was there. De Gea is excellent at making saves. He got eliminated, he got sent packing because United wanted to be more modern and be better at playing out from the back, so they wanted a ball-playing goalie. And Onana, the Zidane of goalkeepers, constantly makes mistakes, more mistakes than De Gea ever did. McTominay is playing much better for Napoli than he ever did at United. He was never a center defensive mid. I don't know why United kept trying to force him into that position. Even for the Scotland national team, you know where he was at his best? Playing as almost a number 10 who crashes into the box late. Then you have Lisandro Martinez. This guy was brilliant in the 2023 season. Starting center back for Argentina summer of 2024 when they win the Copa America. Solid as a rock. Then for United, it's like I'm watching someone take their pro club striker and put him center back. Like there's no way someone self-proclaimed as the Butcher is getting dunked on like this.
Three and an attitude.
And I find Martinez to be the weirdest one because if you had to custom make a player to play as a left center back in a back three, I feel like he's perfectly made for that position. He's left-footed, he's good on the ball, he's aggressive, yet every time he plays now, he looks a shadow of himself. How long until we see the same thing happen to Euro? Euro was a player that every single top club wanted, but you see the path of United players. Every single one of them, in due time, become a shadow of themselves, even if they've had a good season. That's why I'm worried about assuming that spending will fix all of the issues, because with Ten Hag, they went out and got the guys he wanted, players he had coached like De Ligt, Anthony, Onana, Lisandro Martinez, yet once again, any of these players could easily be replaced. So in theory, you would like to believe that if Amorim gets the players that he wants, the system will work. But given the track record of other managers, spending more at United doesn't necessarily correlate to success. Everyone looks good until they step onto Old Trafford. Now with the current squad that Amorim has, he has been trying to instill some discipline.
He wants to set a new culture and a new standard and a new expectation in the dressing room of what's right, and obviously he's not like some of the things that he's seen.
He dropped Rashford and Garnacho from the squad entirely for a period. Listen, Rashford, he's a very talented player, done a lot of great things for the club, but often his body language indicates that he doesn't want to be on the pitch. He's also been a common variable for all the managers that have come and gone, so there must be something happening behind the scenes for a manager to immediately come in and basically boo you out of the team. Garnacho, I kind of feel bad for because he's basically just a product of United overrating their own player. He's a decent player, but he's nothing special. The way United fans were talking about him, you would have thought they got the next Ronaldo. I know he does Ronaldo's celebrations, I know he wears his underwear, but that doesn't mean he's the next Ronaldo. I remember accounts on Twitter shoving stats down our throats that Garnacho had more goals and assists than certain players. Like, buddy, we watched the game with our eyes. Garnacho stat padding against third division clubs, that's just him finding his level. Just put the super sub performance in the bag, man. Now, of course, here comes the comments. Ped, you're a YouTuber, sitting on your fat ass in your room. How can you criticize another professional football player? Well, I'm not criticizing him by comparing myself to him. I'm comparing him to his own peers, which is where he should be comparing himself. They're not playing against me on the weekends. Now, of course, saying a player is overrated doesn't mean that I think he's bad. I just think he's rated way higher than he should be. He's got some great skill sets. He's tenacious, he runs a lot, he's got great pace, but he also makes a ton of mistakes, way more than just him being young. His decision making is awful, and sometimes, despite his pace and being decent on the ball, he can't beat his fullback. He gets pocketed way too easily. The bicycle against Everton made people get hyped about this guy, and I think it fed into his ego. He thought he was already a superstar, and he's just not at that level yet. So it's good that Amorim is humbling a lot of these players, but don't forget, Ten Hag tried to instill discipline from the get-go as well. He dropped Ronaldo and Sancho, and sure, it did help in the short run. Not saying it was right of Ten Hag to scapegoat Ronaldo for all their problems, but the team literally did get better that season. They won the Carabao Cup, and then they finished third. But again, it was a short-term fix. It's going to take more than banishing a couple of players to really reset the mentality at that club. But that's another issue. United isn't just a graveyard for player careers, it's also a graveyard for managerial careers. You might laugh at Ten Hag now, but he was a very well-respected and highly sought-after manager in football before he joined United.
Eric was amazing in Ajax. For me, he built the best two teams outside the five strongest leagues.
Everyone, including Ruben Amorim himself, had great respect for what he had achieved with his Ajax side. But then he comes to United, and now he's labeled a bold fraud. And trust me, it won't take long if the results continue like this for people to turn on Amorim. A guy who revolutionized sporting, disrupted the duopoly of Benfica and Porto. I think the poor guy is honestly shocked by how bad the team is. I think a lot of us, managers included, probably look at United from the outside and think with a couple of tweaks, they could be back on track. But then they actually get the job, step into the club, and they realize the issues go so much deeper than what we see on TV. I remember seeing a report that Amorim was shocked at the lack of fitness of the players. You could see it in his reactions. He can't believe some of the stuff he's seeing. The individual errors, many of them for no reason. Goals given away for free. Basic passes missed. He's gonna have Ten Hag's hair when it's all said and done. The poor guy came in with so much joy in his eyes and his heart, and after each interview, you see the energy just draining from him. United, they're like that scene in Interstellar. 1 year at United is like 10 years, 15 years of aging. At this point, nobody can tell you with certainty where United are going. Like I said, every single week, it's a new low point. I mean, right now, the only positive is that Amorim doesn't have the players that he wants. So you hope that with some spending, with him having more time to implement his ideologies, he can get some sort of a rebuild going. Because everyone knows this season is a write-off. As long as United don't get relegated, it was essentially a 9-month trial for Ruben Amorim to see who he likes and who should be sold immediately. Is he the right man, or are United truly a finished club? We're going to see the answer in real time. The one bright spot though has been Amad Diallo. To see how good he has been, you gotta check out this video right here.